Alright, you're back again with Mike at Workflow. We have finished in our last video, we finished installing the butcher block countertops. And while you guys were away, I went ahead and worked some. I hope you don't mind. But I've done the backsplash on this side all the way around. I haven't done the grout work, and I did the backsplash here today. I glued this one in yesterday evening and let it set, and then I came in today and I did the green row and then the white, double white row at the top of it. So we got, this is just your standard 3x6 subway tile here on the bottom and on the top, and then here's a porcelain 3x6 custom tile that had to be ordered. Now, before you do this, before you go to do this part, there's a certain thing you need to do. We installed these and finished the back of this last time in our last video. I suggest you go watch it. And I suggest you watch all of the videos, because sometimes whenever I'm doing something, you'll find I'll shed some light on some mistakes that I made, mistakes that hopefully you can avoid. If you don't watch the whole video, you might not get the little detail that's going to cost you time. And these videos are really for, I mean, it's fine for homeowners too, but really it's for your intermediate level construction worker or a construction professional, I should say. Alright, so where I'm at right now, so what we have to do, we have to install our borders first. What is our borders? Our border is what we're using here is a white border, and this one's a PVC. You can get these in metal, aluminum, different colors of aluminum, different colors of plastic. It's all depending on what you like. But here I'm using a white plastic because it was, honestly, it goes with both and it's cheap. But when you order this, you want to make sure that it'll stick out fast. Once you got to account for the 1/8 grout, right? The thickness of the grout, right? So if you look at it here, it's barely recessed a little bit, and by the time you put the grout on it, it might be a little bit above it. So you need to, before you order, you figure out what tile you want to get, and then that helps you decide what thickness of edge trim you're going to need, right? Like this edge trim wouldn't work on a floor tile, see? See, it's the floor tile's already sticking over it, and there's even no grout on it right now. And so you're going to decide to find what your borders are. You generally want to go to whatever your cabinet is, and go from your edge of your cabinet down parallel. As you can see, I've already cut some of these to make it easier. I wanted to keep these videos kind of short if I can. I've already took my my level here, and I put it on the corner of the cabinet here, and I marked it there. That way I'll get a level install here. And I've already cut this one. I'll show you how to cut them. This one's already cut. Let's go ahead and install this one. I've already marked this, so let's go ahead and install it. Line it up. You want to make sure you don't want your backsplash to come out past the outside edge of the countertop here. Generally, it's a good idea just to go right with the edge of your cabinet there. And what I'm using is a DeWalt stapler, carbon fiber composite stapler. You can nail this in. You might even be able to caulk in there, but I would put some sort of mechanical attachment to it. And I'm using 3/8 staples, about 1 centimeter staples. And I like using this because this is quick and easy, and it holds pretty good too. It holds just as, I wouldn't say it holds as good as nails into a stud or anything like that, but it'll hold well enough to where it won't move, especially after you put your tile on it. Once you put your tile on it and get it glued in, it's not going anywhere. Alright, let's Let's go ahead and do this one here. Let's get it lined up on our mark here. Bam, see? Not only that, the staple's nice and flush too. This is the easiest way I've found so far. Highly recommend it. You could get something like, you could do, if you use plastic, you could get this knocked out in no time flat. That's part of it. There you go, like so. A couple more. If it looks like it's sticking out a little bit, you can always whack it a little bit. Actually, I think there's a stud here. I probably could have nailed that one in, but quite frankly, that's so easy. I don't see why anybody would do anything else. Now, the problem you run into with using the stapler is if you get here where a corner bead is at. If you got the corner bead here, the staples ain't going to go through that corner bead, the metal corner bead. And that's what I found out here when I did this one. I took the liberty of doing this one beforehand. I hope you don't mind. And now, so let's go ahead and do this one here. I've already cut this little piece. Now, what I want to happen here is that if this tile comes across here, I want to have it line up here. So this edge here of the trim, this edge here, I'm going to line this bottom edge up with the trim. With the bottom cabinet, sorry. Like so. Right, like that. For whatever reason, I didn't mark it all the way across. Here. Alright. I cut this one with a saw, the 45 here, because I want this joint to look good here. Because this is going to be an exposed joint there. It's going to be exposed right on the top corner here. And when anybody's here washing dishes or whatever, they're going to be looking right at it. Anytime you got something that somebody's going to look at a lot, you're going to do it. Take extra care to make it look as good as possible. If it's behind the oven, who cares? I don't care. Oh, you pulled the oven out and you found that they didn't finish something back there. Whoop-de-doo. Now, that one. Now we're going to take our level. We want this thing to be level. This has already been leveled here. There's going to be a shelf that goes in here. I took the old shelf off, but I'm going to put the shelf back after I'm done. I actually had to raise this up because previously it was like you can see where the sheetrock is at. It was like right here. But I wanted to be able to put two lines in here. I would have had to put a half on one and then a little thing here. It would look terrible. So I wanted it to look like there was two lines there. Plus this gives you a little, previously the height that this thing used to be, we would get water. Sometimes the faucet we had a 360 faucet and it would come on around and sometimes the water would go out on the thing here. If we got this a little bit higher, I think it'd be better. Plus if you decide to put a bar or something on the other side, it would be really good. Really good bar height kind of thing for putting your pots and stuff up there and serving food there. Alright, this is actually, that corner bead is actually perfectly level there. It should be. I put enough work into it. Alright. There we got that. See now, we've already, so I've got to be a nice joint there. Now, herein lies the rub. This one, you have to, I found out the hard way that you got to pre-drill this. If you try to hammer this thing, you end up busting this corner bead and making a mess. This has got to be finished on the outside. You'll just end up making more work for yourself. I actually have this. I'm going to pre-drill this. Pre-drill this plastic. Actually, I want to do something different here. I picked a drill bit out was just about the same thickness of the barrel of this, maybe one size smaller than the barrel of the nail I was going to use. I think I did. That sure looks like a pretty fat nail to me. Now keep in mind you're going to have a little bit of, there's going to be grout and stuff in here, so it's not going to be like so. Staples don't work where the corner bead's at. Staples work great where it's just drywall or wood. Where the corner bead is at, you're killing yourself. Trust me, don't do it. I made a right mess. Didn't want that. That looks pretty straight there. I'm actually not going through the plastic on this. I'm actually going through the metal. I'll show you what I'm talking about in a second. And I'm using the head of the nail to pin it down. So the barrel of my nail is not even going through. The barrel of the nail is not even going through the plastic. It's just it's going through the corner bead and into the stud. What I'm saying is here. Instead of going through it like this, I'm going here on the side. Going right through the opening and using the head of the nail like that to pin it down. I need this. I'm gonna put 2 in here. See, that's the problem with doing the plastic. You're wasting some time doing. Not only does it stick above it, let's go here in the middle. Alright, put one more in there. Right here. Alright, there we go. Now that you have your borders in, you can do your next measurement. And you want to find the middle point. Now there's a lot of ways you can do this. The way you can do it going around this corner, that's not the way I did it. I don't like having funny pieces in the corners of my stuff. So, I don't like having like little tiny things like that in the corner. It just shows poor planning. But you could do here, you could just lay it, start from there and put a whole piece in, and then when you get down here, like just turn around the corner. So if this piece is that big, then the piece you took off of here, you can put it on the other side. So it looks like the tile wraps around. What I'm going to do is go in the middle. That way the pieces on the ends are going to be the same, right? So what I did, I went in the middle here. That's got a little level, it just looks crooked. So here I went in the middle, and the first one I marked my middle line, and put this one on the left side and this one on the right side, the middle line, and the grout line in the middle of it. And then the next one's brick laid. The center of the next one is on top of that. And you work from there and go to the ends. And then when you get to this one here, the center of this one is also centered on this center line here, this first one. And you can see it worked out really well for me. I don't have any funny pieces on the ends. This is to keep the glue from getting on there. You want to cut these as close as you can, because it's got a little beveled edge to it, this top trim piece. So this is what a lot of people don't. Well, I don't really know 100% either, but so if you leave it like this, there's still room to put grout in here. But I think you probably need to have a little bit of room like that. You want grout to be able to get down in there and behind it to keep it from cracking. But if you got it flush to it, it's fine. If there's a little gap, it's fine too. It's all going to get filled in with grout. I wouldn't go much further than whatever your grout line is here. Like whatever your grout line is for the rest of your grout, you can maybe have that much space between it and the and tile. Let me show you how to cut this real quick. One of my leftover piece. I wanted to make sure I had some left over. All right, what I'm using here, this is a tool by Rigid, and you can move it here 45 degrees. What it's for is for cutting quarter round quickly. Some of you professionals out there have already seen this thing, but I found it to be great for cutting this plastic. Watch this. So say I want to do a 0 degree cut here. I want to do a 90 degree cut. Okay, I'm gonna put it on the main. I'm gonna put it on the hard part too. Watch. I'll put it on like so. Put it in a jig, right? Look, bam! Look at that. You don't even need a saw. Watch me do a 45. All right. You want to make sure you're hitting the pieces hitting here and there. Watch me put this 45 in it. Look at that. Look at that perfect 45. Sometimes it's the right tool for the job and not the motion in the ocean. Alright, let's mark the center of this thing. I don't have that much glue left. So that's 224.5 centimeters. So what is that? That is 110 plus 4, 112. 112.25. So we go here 112.25 centimeters. Alright, there's our middle right here. Put our square on it. Make sure the square is flat on the countertop. Like that. Now we can go ahead and start laying the tile here. So yeah, this was low, so I added some studs in to bring this up. I furred it out up to this level. I leveled it, and then I put some sheetrock on it, and then finished it across here. So now you're going to have a nice double layer compound tile there, and then you're going to have it's going to look better, I think. Oh, let me go through a few things. So initially, I didn't want to remove the outlets because I didn't want to get into doing electrical work. But I found that I had to remove the outlets in this application because this green line here went around all the outlets. And so that means that if we went and put white outlets in there, it's going to look terrible. Let me show you what I'm talking about. And this was one of those things, like if you don't watch the whole video, you're not going to get this part. Because this goes back to when you're picking out your tile. Look at that. Look how ugly that looks. You take and you put that up there after you did all that nice work, and you got this ugly white outlet right in the middle of here. And they're all in the green line, look, all the way around. All the outlets and switches. So I had to order, and this cost me money, by the way, so you should listen. I had to order brown outlets and brown covers so it would blend in with that. So, and that ended up costing me money. So, did I foresee that? No, I didn't foresee it. But, and as a result, so when I put these in, you see these spacers. These spacers also have, these are 8th inch spacers. I'm not 8th inch, 16th inch spacers. I don't like using an 8th inch ones for small tile. I like to use, for bigger tile, I'll use like an 1/8 or 3/8 or whatever, on a floor especially. But actually I don't really like to go more than an 1/8. But these are the 16th ones for this tile here. And they have, the only thing I don't like about them, you can't really use, you can use them for brick lay, but you can't use this unless you're doing a straight lay. You won't be able to use this cross, right? But anyway, so you go and you put them in here. You put your spacer at the bottom, the space the bottom of the tile, and then you put it in between them like this, right? And then once you do that, and once I did this, I put one at, this was already done yesterday, so this bottom was hard. Then you take a nice big flat piece of tile like this here. This is just your standard 3/8 inch floor tile. So I have a piece I had left over from when I did this floor in a previous video you might have seen. And you go on there and you just push it in. Push it like that, flat against the wall. Right, and then you go up and do the next level. What's going on here? Oh shit. And then you push this one in. Make sure you get the ends. Just like that. And don't mess around with it after that unless you want to go around and make sure you got your right spacings and all this. Don't push, whatever you do, don't push in on it. Because you'll have a piece of tile that's messed up. Oh, very important. If you plan to put under cabinet lighting in here, then you want to have perfect tile for that. Or when you lay your tile out, if you brick lay, I found this out the hard way on the job. And I mean, it wasn't my problem, it was the customer's problem, because they're the ones that added the cabinet countertop lighting in after the fact. But when you brick lay like this, your tile, and you shine a light like this across it, and you shine a light like this across it, which is basically, if you put an under cabinet light, it's going to be like this, right? It shines the light down the tile, incidentally like this. And if your tile isn't laid in there perfect, it will look horrendous, let me tell you. We had the tile guy, it looked so bad when we turned on the lights. We had the tile guy, we looked at it, we had the tile guy come back, he tore out several sections of tile and laid it back in. And when he laid it back in, it didn't make a difference. What it was how the tile was laid in there. And the tile itself wasn't perfect. Right? Like when you buy this cheap tile here, $30 for 2 boxes of this tile, by the way. You can't get any cheaper than this white tile. And it's got a classic look to it. Right? You could do a nice backsplash, shower, whatever, with this, and it'll look high quality, and you will have a minimal amount of money put into it. If you're going to do under cabinet lighting in a situation like this, don't do brick lay like that. Do this here. Do the straight lay tile like that. If you do the straight lay tile like that, it won't look like crap whenever you turn the lights on. If you're doing under cabinet lighting. Obviously, if you do it like this, or you use a tile that's dark or something like this, it'll be different. But when you're using a white tile like this here, another thing you could do, if you really insist on doing a brick lay and under cabinet lighting, you should use like a gray grout, not a white grout, because what'll happen is it'll cast Where this one's sticking out a little bit, it'll cast a shadow here. And it'll look like the tile's all messed up. Even after the guy fixed the tile, I went in there with a level and put it on the wall, and it was straight as a board. It was, and he had fixed like 25% of it for nothing, because it didn't make a difference. So if you're gonna do that, you need to use like a gray grout or something that ain't white. Okay, something that'll draw in those, like a Dorian gray or something like that, something that'll mute those shadows that are casting. That's only if you're doing under cabinet lighting. Or with your under cabinet lighting, you could have it like that, shine at that angle. Just don't have it shine directly down the wall. Look how bad that looks. Look how bad it looks when I shine the light down. It looks just like that with tile. But with tile. And that's pretty straight there, actually. I sanded that. I mean, not sanded it and painted. I just sanded it level. Alright, these are my cut pieces. Let's not lose these. Alright, what I'm going to, I ran out of adhesive, so we're just going to do a small bit. We're going to go until we run out of adhesive here. And then we're going to call that a day. And also, when you pull these outlets out, if it's not straightforward, like this one, like I pulled this one out. This is called a fire ring here. For whatever reason, they put a fire ring on this one. It probably had something to do with the code. That's what this. There's an outlet box in there, and then it's got this ring, this little jacket or whatever goes in there, and then the outlet, then the cords are in that, the power lines. But if you see a red wire in here, you need to take a picture of that. You need to take a picture of it before you take the devices out of it, because sometimes this red wire means it's a traveler wire, and you can really spend 4 hours trying to wire this thing properly if it's got a traveler wire, if it's a three-way switch. If you don't know how to wire a three-way switch, you'll have to hire an electrician to come and fix this for you. So take a photo of it before you disconnect the devices. All right. Now, let's go ahead. I've already done all my measurements here. I know you notice it looks like it's a little, it doesn't matter here because there's going to be a board that sits on this. And then up under that board, we're just going to get trimmed out. This is going to get covered. Where this comes down, this is all going to get covered up here because there's a board that goes in there. And then I might put a little trim piece or whatever here up under that board on this side. Well, both sides really. Small trim piece because I want to have a lot of the tile exposed here. And I don't want to put wood there. You might want to put like a PVC or something like that. Something that won't rot because you're going to have a water station, a water generation station here, the sink, kitchen sink. You know, now that I'm looking at this, I'm trying to think whether it'd be a good idea to have the tile centered on the opening. Let's see what the opening is. So it's a 3-foot opening, so that's 96 centimeters, that's 45 plus 3 is 48. So the center is actually here. That's the center of the opening. But that's not going to give us what we need on the ends. I don't want to have a funny piece on the ends. I'm going to center it. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and mark this in the middle. Six-inch piece, 16 inches. Alright, like so. Alright, let's start putting our little bit of glue we got back in here. and also with the way that I fixed this, when I didn't put in I just fixed the drywall that was in here with compound. So I just poured it nice and flat and did 2 coats, and then light sanding where it was high at or low, whatever I needed to do, and filled it in where there was bad valleys. And since I did it that way, and since I did it like that with the compound, it wasn't perfect. So you have to go along with a level. Here's my level. And you got to go along and check all this stuff to make sure there's anything. So when I go here and I can put this flat level on here, I can see there's a little valley here, and I'll mark that. So when I go to put my glue in here, I'll put a little extra right here in the middle. There's a little valley right here. I'll mark it. You can check it for plumb too. I like using this little thing here. You check it for plumb. You put it on there. Right, so that's pretty plumb. Look at that. So this was finished. The sheetrock wasn't replaced. If it's really bad, there's lots of holes everywhere, and the holes are huge, then maybe you'll need to replace some sheetrock. But that's a lot of work, let me tell you, if it's replacing the sheetrock in here. It's back-breaking work because you're doing it like this the whole time. You got to cut every one of these boxes out. You got to cut every side of every piece that goes in here. Okay, it is a freaking nightmare, let me tell you. I did a job like this where I replaced the drywall for a man. He went there and ripped it all out. And me not being, if I knew what I knew now, I would have just took compound and flattened it out because he didn't even have holes through it. So I could have just flattened it out and sanded it. Right? I could have put a compound on it with a 12-inch knife, come back the next day and sanded it nice and flat. Bam! He could have went and put his tile on it. But no, I was a good gear. I went and got some sheetrock, come back, I'll replace all this sheetrock for you, sir. It took me 8 hours to replace that sheetrock in that kitchen. I had to break it all out and then come back and reinstall all of it. And then I had to cut every one of them pieces, and I had to cut out all them boxes. It was way easier doing this and cheaper. And less messy, especially if it's a house that's, that's finished and people are living in it. Alright, this is done. This garbage. Alright, let's see. I want to get glue on this. And what are we using? We're using AquaPro Professional Tile Adhesive for standard wall and floor tile installation. Now they got one that's, this little container was about 30 bucks. They got one that's supposedly higher quality that's 70 bucks, but this stuff is fine. I don't know what you're holding on the wall, but this, you don't need to spend extra money sometimes. This stuff works great. I mean, sometimes you do need to buy the better material, and then sometimes you just don't need to, and this is one of those times. This will last a little bit longer. I don't know, not if you're using the same, if it's the same volume and you're using the same, trowel width. All right, let's see what we've got here, folks. I don't know how far we can get here. We'll get as far as we can. I don't have much. I just don't have much much glue left. See, there's much left in there. I thought when I did the math on this should have lasted, but apparently with whatever they're and I didn't waste much either. But I would add about 25% to whatever they're saying. If you do the calculation, the square footage this will cover with the I'm using 6mm teeth here, 6mm trowel, right? If you do the math, it says that the square footage I'm doing in here should have lasted this whole bucket. I should have some left in here. This is how much I should have left when I was done, and I'm not even finished, and I'm almost out. So I would add about 50% to make sure to whatever numbers, optimistic numbers they have in here. Their numbers are very optimistic apparently. what we're getting right there. Any more than that, and we count ourselves lucky. That thing's about empty. Alright, there's a little bit left in here. Spot right there. It says it is glue, but this I ran out. I don't think it's going to be bothering me much though. Alright, so well, like we did over there, we're going to put one on one side. I want to make sure this is not in the way here. Okay. On this side, these are cut. I had to cut these because I used a different tile here than here. I had some leftovers I wanted to finish up. Use the rest of those leftovers on the bottom, and that tile wouldn't get the exact same size. Honestly, I wish I would just throw them tiles in the trash, because I could swear they look like they're two different colors, and I hope they don't come back to bite me. That means I have to come here and bust this tile out here and redo it. But when I laid it down, when I laid the tiles down on top of each other, they didn't look a different color to me. What do you think? Does that look a different color? I couldn't tell when I did it like this. I think it has something to do with the shadow. Alright. So we're able to get another one in here. Oops. Okay. We're just going to do a small bit, okay? Oh, it's the wrong one, see? I'm already messed up. Shit. Damn it. Oh, shiza. It's got a marking on the back. I can get in the middle of it like that. That's it right there. I need to put some, maybe put the adhesive on the back of this thing. Get a piece of tile here, see if I can scrape some out here. Oh yeah. Yeah, here we go. God, this is getting messy, I'm sorry. I know it looks like I'm a slob, but sometimes you don't do your job right. You end up having to pay for it. More. Pull my hands off a little bit. This is the problem. I'm getting two different size tiles here. I I had to trim some so it'll line up down there because I use that different tile. Honestly, I wish I would just take it. For trying to save them pieces, I should have just thrown them in the trash for how much work it ended up costing me. And that happens to me a lot. I mean, I save a lot of money too, don't get me wrong. But it also costs me some money sometimes too, trying to save money. It'd be cheap. Alright. And in between the two here, lift it up a little bit. There we go. On the end here. In the middle. Try not to push, when you're putting these in, try not to push in on the tile. If you need to lift it up a little bit. There we go. Now, I need to get my spacing. Okay, proper spacing there. Not only do they help like this, but they also give you an opportunity to, there we go. I'm going to scrape that a little bit, whatever's left or off. I'm not going to put that in. I'm out of tile in it. I'm out of glue anyway. Hey, nothing left in there. Oh. All right. These together. Now we have to flatten this out. We want to flatten this out here, make it look nice. I really need to do further out. I'm not gonna be able to push this one all the way in. Let's see what's going on. Let's see if it's bowing in or out here. If it's bowing in, then I got a problem. It should be fine. So I take my handy dandy trusty tile piece here, put it on there flat, like so, and give it a push. There we go, just like that. Oop. So I'm going to take a ride here. If you're having a problem with your spacers sticking in the tile, get you a little dab of glue on them like that. It just needs to be enough to where it holds them in there. Don't go ham on it. Because whatever you get on there, you got to clean off somehow. And it's a lot easier to clean this stuff off after the fact. It says on there, it says on the instructions to pull all these out after you're done and wipe your tile. But I don't like that idea at all. Because when you're wiping this tile, you're touching it and you're pushing it. You need to keep these spaces right. Because just as soon as you leave one jacked up, so one is moved without your permission, you're going to come back. It's a lot easier to fix it now than it is to fix it later, trust me. And you can always scrape that excess off. It's not even that big a deal, really. It's just a little extra work, but it's so beautiful after you're done. Now, I'm going to take my little scraper, scrape off the excess glue because we don't want this glue to dry. it's not enough to do another piece. Let's just get rid of it. This is one of those times where if I try to save that and try to work with it and put one more piece in, it'll end up costing me in the end. Alright, there's, oops. And dab, a little dab of this glue on there, like so. Oop. Honestly, I don't even think I didn't tall these in there. Well, now when you get, if you're running short on these pieces, the ones that have to stay in there are the ones that keep it from going up and down. The vertical the horizontal separators, you can pull those out. The vertical separators, i.e. the ones that weight is resting on, are the ones you got to pull out of there. I mean, that you can pull out. These you have to leave in there until it sits. I mean, you can take the risk and pull them out before the glue sets, or the thin sets. I don't recommend it because you can come back and it'll look terrible. And then you have to bust it all out there and do it again. I'd rather just wait and let it set properly and then come back tomorrow. This tile is one of those things where you need two things. You need to have patience, and you need to have a lot of time on your hands for recutting pieces. And waiting for things to dry and set. Prep is everything when it comes to this stuff. Oh, also, so initially I was going to try to leave all these electrical devices in just to make my life easier. And then I found out that the white is not going to go in there to pull them out anyway. But you want to make sure it's level around this box here. Right, with a scraper or whatever you need to do, you need to make sure it's level around the boxes. Don't have your boxes coming out here, because when you go to put your tile in there, it's going to look terrible. Especially if it's a small piece. And then when you go to put your light box on there, it's going to look even worse. Right, this is all got to be level around here when you put your electrical plate on it. Alright, signing off. Later.